Yeah, old school. That's what I'm talking about. Listen, this ain't for everybody. Some of y'all need to hear this. I know you're in the trenches fighting, but check it out. I'm gonna put it down like this so I can help you things understand. Everything you're going through is all part of the master plan. Or what? You thought cause you got saved everything was gonna be peaches and cream? You better wake up, son. Don't nothing come to a sleeper but a dream. Faith without works is dead. Read your Bible, you know what it said. He who don't work don't eat. Slackers don't get fed. Yeah, Jesus said he who puts his hands to the plow looks back the same ain't fit. Some of y'all ain't been in the trenches 5 minutes and you about ready to quit. I ain't mad at ya, I'm just hitting you with the real. If you died for me and I was still tripping, now how you think that make you feel? Check this out, deep game, this here's deep. Some of y'all ain't sawing nothing but you started trying to reach. But unto him who is able to possess your fathers by his glory. Struggles might be part of your testimony, but it ain't the end of the story. Now the point is was prophesied way back in the day. Choir, sing your hook right here and see if the church can relate.
I know we can make it. I know good and well. God can work it out. Work it out. Work it out. Yeah, he'll work it out. I know we can make it. We can make it. I know good and well. God can work it out. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. Yeah.
Thinking not strange, the fiery trials are to try you. You say, why you? But your church say, what would Jesus do? Why you asking if he ain't trying to do what he's saying? He told you he was going to have tribulations, but you thought he was playing. 1 minute you tell him how good God is and can't nobody beat your talk. The next minute you're backsliding so fast, look like you're moonwalking. Oh yeah, I'm preaching to myself because I ain't no better. It ain't like I've been following his every word, obeying it to the letter. So we soldiers, we got to remember that. Regroup, stay on point. Yeah, bow down, confess, repent, stay humble, let him anoint. It ain't easy as I thought it was. I'd be lying if I told you that. But it's showing up getting better all the time. Trust me, that's a fact. Ain't nothing we going through that can't be handled. God put that on his son. Like they say, you can shout now if you want to, cause the battle's already won. So while you're going through the valley, don't even trip. You're gonna be on top. Choir, sing the hook line one more again. This time you don't stop.
I know we can make it. We can make it. I know good and well. God can work it out. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. He'll work it out. We can make it. I know we can make it. I know good and well. Oh, yeah. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. If you let him, I know good and well. He can work it out. Work it out. Work it out.
Yeah, we're going to put up the brakes right there. This is your host, Lamont Patterson. You listen to I Am Indie. I had to give a minute to Big Boy upstairs, you know what I mean, because I keep staying positive. I keep staying positive every day that they're going to work this thing out, this crazy thing that we call life and all the stuff we're dealing with every day right about now. But I know, and I'm going to stay hopeful that he's going to step in and work it out. At least that's my belief, and I hope it is yours as well, because we need all that going up. But anyway, we got a great show lined up for you today. I'm not going to say as usual, but we got a dynamic artist that's going to be joining us. In 1 second here, Mr. Izzy Caravan. You know, hump day. Y'all know what today is. We made it this far. You know, Big Boy's blessing, we're going to make it the rest of the way. So I ain't going to say no more about that. But we're going to see, is Mr. Izzy with us?
Hey, how's it going?
Caravan. I was going to say, are you in the building? How you doing?
Yeah, right here, man. Doing all right, dude. How's it going, man?
Well, like they say, I'm too blessed to be stressed.
That's always good, man.
Yeah, it's always a blessing, man. So listen, we got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. I know you got a whole bunch of stuff going on, a whole bunch of new music. But you know, I like to kind of like start out, you know, with our guests to give a little background, because you know there's a lot of artists out there. You know, we're gonna get you your accolades, of course, but there's a lot of artists out there, man, that's trying to do what you're doing, do what you have done, you know, doing what you're gonna do. So I like to kind of start out by asking some little basic, simple stuff, you know, and give you the platform, man, so you can talk to the audience that you haven't talked to before. And then again, maybe you have. But I like to ask, you know, where you come from, man. And what I mean by that is, were you playing music in school? Did your parents play music? You know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man. You know, honestly, it goes back a long way, dude. Right, when I was a kid, I was kind of fortunate where um, I sort of grew up listening to a lot of records that my folks were listening to. So whether it was, Pink Floyd or Dire Straits or any of that stuff, right? I mean, sort of like the big sort of rock bands and stuff. So I was really lucky to sort of grow up in that sort of environment, and from the get go, man, it was that sort of exposure was really sort of shaped my musical taste, so to speak, right? And um, when I heard as a kid, right, when I heard the electric guitar and stuff, to me it was just such a fascinating instrument, right? And I was always like, wow, man, that's the kind of stuff that I want to do, right? And so I was really blown away by some of that sort of early exposure to rock and roll and of course I mean even further back like when your parents are sort of cranking up like old Elvis records and whatnot, right? And you're just like, wow, man, this is really awesome stuff. So yeah, it sort of goes back to when I was a kid and I've really sort of carried that musical taste with me right up to today, man.
When did you start playing?
So that pretty much shapes the sound of this band as well. In terms of what I grew up listening to as a kid and in my teenage years, and so that it's never really shifted. I'm proudly old school, man. Proudly old school too. Yeah.
maybe not. So, when did you really start? I know you said that you was fascinated by the guitar, but what age was that, if you don't mind saying? Because some people start really really early, and some people start later on. So, what was the year that you got you going? I guess lost connection there for a minute, but I'm sure he'll be right back.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Oh, no worries. But anyway, Izzy, I was asking, what year did you? How were when you started playing? Because a lot of artists, they go from keyboards to guitar. When was when you first? I know you said you fell in love with it immediately, but when did you start falling in love with it seriously? That should be the question.
Yeah, I guess it was right around my sort of teenage years where, when I got my first guitar and stuff. And honestly, when I bought it, I didn't even know what it was, right? I just wanted to have a guitar, and that's all I wanted to do. And it wasn't even a guitar; it was a bass, right? So, but it just sort of set the pathway to what I'm doing now, which is playing blues and rock but then fast forward, it was around early 2000s when living in southern Ontario and in Canada, and me and my really good buddies, and we sort of started this band together, and that was really the sort of gateway into ultimately deciding that this is what we want to do, and this is what we want to do for a long, long time, right? So it's been an interesting journey, yeah.
Yeah, I could tell, and so many talented musicians out here. So, when you were coming up, listening to various styles, what were some of your favorite groups?
Oh man, when I grew up really, really inspired by early, old school Aerosmith records and Led Zeppelin and Rolling Stones and stuff, and that was sort of like our, you know, bread and butter music right back then. So yeah, those early sort of rock bands, they pretty much inspired me. But the cool thing was, all those bands had one thing in common, which was the blues, right? So, so when I was a kid, I sort of didn't realize that, right? Because you're young and naive, and you think, all right, it's all about this this sort of rock and roll vibe that these bands are, playing. But ultimately, I think the beauty of these bands, and I think what really sort of attracted me to these bands was the blues. And it's later on, now that sort of when I'm working on these records and stuff, blues has been such a massive influence. I mean, it's been an absolutely life-saving experience for me. So yeah, it's been awesome that way.
Right. When you, I know, oh man, I know different artists have different ways that they, produce and write their music. Do you seem to write yours more from personal experiences? I guess that was
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. It's the one thing that all our songs tend to have, and the records that we put out, they're all based on human stories, man. Musically, yeah, it's all sort of based on blues and stuff, but lyrically, sorry, that's when I really sort of get into real human experiences and real human narratives, right? Where literally, I mean, some of the stuff that comes to me is by just watching the news, for example, right, and what's going on around the world, which really is becoming crazy and crazier by the day. So it really sort of feeds into the spirit that we want to sort of put out, right? We're not about sort of commercial, pop-oriented narratives or anything, right? We want to have a story to tell. We want. I like my songs to have some degree of purpose to them, right? Some degree of relatedness where somebody listens to it. I mean, honestly, it's not about how many people like your stuff. It's just I genuinely try where somebody's going to listen to it and say, "Wow, this is the story of my life," right? And they get inspired by it, and they relate to it, and it gets them through the day, right? Because I mean, it's a really difficult world out there right now, and we all need some degree of escapism on and off, right? So
that is so true.
In some shape or form, yeah, I just think that maybe someone out there is going to listen to this and go, wow, somebody gets me, right? Somebody who has no one to talk to or is having a rough day, and they just listen to this and go, you know what, man, it's going to get better. So that's, ultimately, I mean, that's the kind of spirit that I want in my music, right? It's real, it's honest, and it tells a story. Yeah.
And truly, that's really what it's all about, because music is the international language. That's the only thing that I know that could truly elicit different emotions, from people globally. Especially if you have a story, and people can tell by your music, by your lyrics, by the feeling that you put into your music that and they resonate with that.
Yeah, and for example, like sort of not to sort of shamelessly plug my music, but but there was I mean, on the last record there was I've always, for example, I've always been absolutely fascinated with the entire sort of Mississippi Delta blues culture and history and the nostalgia behind it. I mean, it's so beautiful, right? In the sense that it tells these deep, profound human experiences, and so I wrote a song called "Drowning Man's Blues," and literally the entire song is just a character sort of experiencing a little bit of an inner crisis, and all he wants to do is travel through Mississippi in the Delta and play the blues. So yeah, it's when it comes down to lyrics and stuff, I mean, to me personally, I mean, it has to have a story, and it has to have some sort of meaning behind it, where the audience can really sort of channel in and recognize that music hasn't really lost its emotive sense, right? I mean, it can still relate to people now, despite sort of like the entire commercialism of it. So that's what we try to do, man. We try to stay honest to our roots, and we try to stay honest to what we believe in, and that's what we do, man.
Okay, and that's how it goes. I'm looking at some of your stuff here, and it said, you left music for a decade, and then you jumped back in.
Yeah, I did, man.
No, I was going to add a little bit to that. I understand how this industry is and how taxing it can be. Was any of that related to the business?
Yeah, I did leave it because, like, early 2000s, we sort of fall, when I got my band together and stuff, we released a couple of demo records and stuff. But honestly, man, I fell out of love with music back then. And it was really hard for me to reconcile my philosophical sort of perception of music with what was happening with the music scene and what was happening with the guitar particularly, right? Where it was becoming this utterly commercialized sort of instrument, right? And, it was just everybody's home as a piece of furniture and stuff. And I really didn't like that, right? So I really, I bailed on it. And for a decade or so, I just didn't really, even play the guitar for years on end, right? So it was just a couple of years back. I mean, just a while back when just by chance I picked it up and I was like, wow, man. And that sort of child inside me got like a second awakening, so to speak, right? And I was like, wow, I want to get back into this. And so one thing led to another. I started buying guitars, got into the whole sort of addiction of, the one guitar after another. And once, I figured, I wasted enough of my money and my savings on buying guitars. Hey, I might as well do something productive with it, right? Yeah. One thing is I could have bought a nice car or something, but no, I pretty much ended up with a guitar collection, and it's awesome, it's hey man, we live once, right? And it's nothing. It's just fulfilling a childhood dream, so to speak, right? So yeah. So once I got, once my guitar collection was nice and complete, that's where I figured, I'm like, all right, hey, let's start putting some music together. So it was, I sort of set up a mini studio, and I'd take these guitars on a test drive, so to speak, and ultimately, suddenly, these ideas started coming out, and I started putting them on record, and I started recording the stuff, and suddenly, one song comes out, another song comes out. I was like, all right, well, since they're coming out, might as well just throw them out for public release. And in literally in a span of what 7-8 months, we've had three EPs out, and we're literally midway through a full-length album already. I mean, so paradoxically, 2020 has been a pretty good year for us, musically, though.
Yeah, see, I was just sitting over here shaking my head. There's some people out here, boy, that can't buy talent, and you got talent and got mad at it.
Sorry?
Did you hear what I said?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, putting these records together, I mean, and I still remember it was in December 2019, all it took was literally one recording, honestly. It took one recording, and I put this sort of instrumental track together called Leo's Guitar. And Leo, in the sense, Leo Fender, right? Because I'm a huge Fender fan. And so sort of buying these guitars and stuff, meant so much. And it's like, all right, so, I'll just name my song Leo's Guitar. And so I recorded this track, and once I recorded it, I sort of like plugged it around a few people, and they're like, this is really good, man. Why don't you sort of keep recording? And I did, and the next thing you know, I have an EP out called Leo's Guitar. Got back into the music scene, sort of got down to the business aspect of it, because one of the really fascinating things was relearning and reintegrating myself into the music business, because, man, it's changed so much. So for me, it wasn't just about getting back into the instrument and writing music and creating this art, but it was also really eye-opening getting back into the music business, which is so different. It's so different from what I was sort of traditionally accustomed to, right? And so the entire experience has been holistically such an eye-opening journey so far. And I think part of it is that's what's thrilling. I feel like I'm just learning new stuff as I'm going.
What part of the country?
Yeah.
What part of the country are you in, Izzy?
Oh, I'm really far off from you right now, man. Really far away from you.
No, I was just asking because
I'm on the other side.
Go ahead.
No, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, you said you're in the other part of the world.
Yeah. I'm on the other side of the planet from you right now, man. But it's a COVID world, right?
Right.
Everyone's stuck where they are right now, so yeah.
Oh no, I understand. Because I have some friends that's stuck in Europe right about now. But I was going to ask you. You're saying that it's a different time in the music industry. Is any of that related to social networking? How do you feel about the social networking in terms of the bands? Do you feel like it's helping the artists, the bands, or do you think it's a downfall?
Man, that's such a great question. That's such a great question. I'm honestly struggling to find an answer to that, because with the rise of technology and stuff, it's it's made the recording process much easier, but at the same time, right? I mean, like, I'm a bit of an introvert, right? So I was never big into social media or Facebook. So I don't even have a Facebook account, right? I mean, like a personal Facebook. We have one for the band now, but I wasn't really big into social media or anything. But when I got back into music and stuff, sort of like the learning experience was all oriented towards social media, right? And it's like, all right, this is how you get fans on Instagram, this is how you get fans on YouTube, and this is how you get fans on Spotify and stuff. To me, I grew up with that sort of traditional narrative where you release an album, you go on tour, right, take a few months off, go back in the studio, release an album, go on tour, release an album. So, and that cycle continues.
Right,
but,
I understand.
The crazy, and the crazy thing is, so I got into YouTube and stuff, and I was like, all right, I want to learn about the music industry now. And I watched literally hours and hours of videos. But man, the craziest thing was, all the videos were about Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. That's all it was. The one thing that nobody was talking about was how to get fans or an audience for your live shows. And I was like, wow, what happened to the live show, right? And particularly, like, being in a rock band or a blues band and stuff. I mean, for us, the spirit of the entire process is recording, playing live, right? And man, the whole sort of system has shifted, right? It's not about playing. I mean, I could be wrong here, completely wrong, but the spirit of the live show has sort of diminished a little bit.
Well, that was really a lot. That really had a lot to do, Izzy, with the digital age, because I come from the same era as you do, when we had to learn how to play instruments and do everything live. With the digital age, people are doing more track dates. They're not really hiring real musicians. You know what I mean? They're doing a whole bunch of sampling. It's just a whole nother element. It's just a whole nother thing going out there, and it's kind of frustrating. Even with technology in schools, they're raising a lot of up and coming producers and engineers that's technologically savvy, but they don't know how to play an instrument. You know what I mean? They don't know how to read a chart. So it's crazy. But listen, Izzy, we need to play some music, man. Everybody, if you just joined the show,
sure.
Yeah, if you just joined the show, we chopping it up with Izzy Caravan right here, and we're going to play some music, and then we're going to come back and chop it up some more. What do you suggest we play, Izzy? Boneyard Blues, South of Yesterday, or what's the other one? Killing Rita? Roadkill Rita?
We can go with Boneyard Blues, I guess. That's a fun one.
All right, everybody. You know what we like to say on this end. Let the windows down, turn the air conditioner up. Put your ears on this. Mr. Izzy Caravan, Boneyard Blues.
Smoking on my hat. Rockin' with your host, the mind Patterson. I'm independent, but a minute. I'm feeling fine all the time. On my grind, I am indeed. Alicia Rain at the wave.
Yeah, we back in the building with our guest today, Mr. Izzy Caravan. You had my head rocking there.
Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah, that was pumping. I could hear a little Johnny Winter in there. How you doing? That was a nice song. That's just us having a little bit of fun in the studio, man. We figured, and that was one of the songs we've had from back in the day, and we sort of decided to rework on it, and because way back, I mean, we didn't have the tools and the money and the gear to sort of record a lot of these songs the way we wanted to. So we went back and dug deep into the catalog, and we're like, all right, let's pull some of these songs out and let's redo them. So yeah, that was one of the ones that we've had for a long time. So we Where's your how many guys in your band, Izzy?
Well, there's myself. There's Sim on vocals and guitar, and there's Rock on bass, and Robbie at the keys. Oh, sorry. But yeah, so it's just there are four of us, and I sort of double down on the drums and stuff as well. So it's on that way.
Okay. Yeah, we keeping it rocking. That's definitely the way to go. Did you ever see that movie called The Dirt?
Yes, I did. Yeah. And in fact, I saw Motley Crue a bunch of times as well. And the 80s was definitely was an era that was unique in the sort of hedonistic lifestyle and
the Roxy. I remember the Roxy back in the day. yeah,
it was pretty wild, man. It's those guys really took things to a whole new level, eh? But yeah, it's so different now, right? It's a lot calmer, it's a lot tamer now.
It is.
Bands are a lot safer now. It's a different world politically and socially, right? They're a lot more careful now. It's very standardized. So sometimes we think we want to, from our perspective, we sometimes want to challenge some of these things, and in a positive way, not to sort of offend anyone or anything like that. But sometimes we think it's like let's sort of add like a little bit of danger to this stuff, right? And let's push the boundaries a little bit and see where. Yeah.
Well, the 70s and the 80s was definitely more fun in the rock field, and I think that's because that was a time where you were in the moment, and it didn't seem so bizarre then, because that's just how it was. But when you look back at it now in hindsight, you say, man, that was some wild stuff that was going on, I guess that's normal.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And obviously, some of the stuff those guys were, those eras were into was obviously like. I mean, it wasn't even about pushing the boundaries. I mean, they sort of really took things to such a level that obviously wouldn't work nowadays. In terms of whether it's trash in hotels or the drugs, the alcohol,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah,
It was all brand new.
And,
it was all brand new then.
yeah. And it's also saturated now, right? It's and I guess that's one of the big challenges though now for us as well, which is when we're putting this stuff out, it's not just that we're putting this stuff out. It's also handling the commercial aspect of it, right? Where how do we sort of differentiate ourselves from sort of being like the signal from all the noise around us, right? It's like and I sort of always draw this analogy now where it's like, how do you find when these astrophysicists are looking for an exoplanet somewhere, right? And they filter out all this data and they finally sort of lock in on like, all right, we got an exoplanet, right? As challenging as that is, I mean, it's like being a sort of blues rock band, right? Like a genre that's really sort of struggling anyway. And so how do we sort of appeal to the audience now and say, look, you don't just have to rely on, nostalgic acts, right? You don't have to just keep whipping out your Zeppelin records and sort of living in that moment. I mean, so it's been honestly it's been hard for us, man. Because even the blues rock fans are not sort of digging a lot of the new stuff, right? They're so, including myself, man. I mean, I'm guilty of this as well, right? Where we're so tied to the nostalgia of everything that all the new artists that are coming out playing absolutely amazing music, right? Amazing blues artists out there, amazing rock artists out there. They have a hard time sort of breaking through because we're so stuck in the past that for good or for bad. I mean, I still dig out my own records. I mean, that's all I listen to as well. But yeah, it's been that's been the little sort of rough ride of the journey so far.
Well, I think a lot of problem with that is two things. Now, one, if you're not if you don't have a really, really strong team in terms of social networking to keep pounding the streets out there with your music, and if you're doing it by yourself, that's kind of problematic. The other thing is the people that are in power, or so-called in power, that can really help your career go this way or that way, these are people that don't really come from the music. They come from people that was grandfathered into the company from some positions that like music, but they themselves has never played an instrument, never wrote a song, never sang a song, but they could say something about your music, and sometimes I find that kind of offensive. How are you going to tell me how to write a song, play a song, sing a song, or perform on stage if you yourself has never done it? But now we kind of living in that time where bands can't really go out and gig like they want to, play like they want to, and then a lot of these people in a position, they looking at your, like I said, your social networking, your YouTube, your Spotify, your Instagram. They looking at all your likes, all your fans to really qualify you, and to me, I think that's a disservice. Just my opinion.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, that's such a great point that you raised. It's kind of tragic where music is now reduced to corporate suits, right? Where they pretty much run the show. I mean, and it's I sort of always go back to this. I guess that was this really famous. And he's like, well, I don't like this song and I don't like this single, and I guess Izzy Stradlin just picks up his guitar and hands it to him, and he's like, "Well, why don't you play it and tell us how we should do this, right?" And,
show me how it goes.
And he's like, I don't know how to play, and he's like, there you go, right? Who are you? So yeah, that's such a great point that you raised, right? It's it's sad that it's all boiled down to. I mean, the art aspect of it has been diminished so much, and it's all about corporate sort of how do we make money off this thing? I mean, Spotify, right? I mean, YouTube. I was reading an article the other day, and it was absolutely mind blowing. Where it was literally like, if you, as a musician, to reach minimum wage. Now, I can't verify how authentic these stats are, but from what I read, to make minimum wage on Spotify, you have to have at least 25,000 plays a day. And on YouTube, that's 60,000 plays a day to make minimum wage as a musician. Now again, I don't know how authentic these stats are, but it's still pretty mind blowing stuff, right? Where you're like, wow, obviously music is an art and stuff, but at the end of the day, musicians do have to eat, right? They got to feed their families, man. So if the music is going to, if all the money is going to these corporate institutions, where do musicians stand now? It's a tough job, dude.
But that's the two main questions I usually ask musicians. A lot of up and coming artists, I ask them that question: Are you doing music because you just love music, or are you doing music because you want to eat as well? Because depending on whatever your mindset is, it's really going to dictate how you pursue it.
Honestly, to me, I cannot reconcile the fact that I have like about 20-25 good years left, right? And I just asked myself a simple question, right? That in my last moments, can I look back and say I did it my way, right? I did what I wanted to do. Did I leave enough of a story behind me that even a few people can look back and say, wow, man, this guy really sort of like, he really lived his life on his own terms and stuff. I couldn't live with that sort of regret, man. So at a purely psychological level, it meant doing this is not just about money, or it's not just about. It's honestly a childhood dream, man, and seeing. Not to sort of like boast about it or flaunt it or anything, but on the whole, like the EP. I mean, it was just an EP, right, which we released, and it reached the jam band radio charts, and one of Drowning Man's Blues reached #1 on iTunes and stuff. But when it hit the jam band radio charts, seeing the band's name alongside Bob Dylan, Robert Cray, Willie Nelson, right? It's that absolutely profound sensation is so meaningful. It's so meaningful. It's like, wow. I did it, right? Obviously I'm not saying I'm as not the level of Bob Dylan or anything, but just that fleeting moment, right? It's just seeing your name there next to these absolutely larger than life figures, right? It's just the greatest feeling on earth, and nobody can take that away from you. You know, and you know, you did it. That's so unique to you that, I mean, you know, again, like I said, all my last moments, I'm going to look back and say, yes, I was on the same chart as Bob Dylan was. Where, you know, so it makes it worthwhile, man.
Definitely.
But I'd say don't ever leave your day job. Any musicians out there, don't leave your day job, right? Stick to your day job, people. Seriously.
Izzy, I quit every day, so I understand. I quit every day.
That's awesome, man.
Listen,
that's really cool, right?
Yeah.
A lot of
Listen,
young
what
guys
we got.
ask me, they're like, what do I do? Yeah.
How about South of Yesterday?
All right, sure, yeah, sounds good.
All right, everybody, let the windows down, turn the air conditioner up, put your ears on this. Izzy Caravan, South of Yesterday.
Girl
Wow, we back with Izzy Caravan in the building. That was south of yesterday. Izzy, I'm looking at the clock, so we're gonna go ahead and run Roadkill Reader. We're gonna go ahead and get that one in. All right.
All right, sounds good. Yeah.
All right. Let the windows down, y'all. Turn the air conditioner up. Put your ears on this. Mr. Izzy Caravan coming back at you live. back with our guest today, Mr. Izzy Caravan. I like that guitar work.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Yeah.
Right. That was awesome. Well, Izzy, listen, we down to the last couple of minutes of the show, but I want you to tell our listeners, man, where they can support, where they can go get your music, where they can reach out for you at.
Well, we've launched our 10 for 10 campaign, which is our new album. It's a full-length album. It's coming out in summer of 2021. But what we're doing is we're releasing a new song every month for the next 10 months off the album. So we've released Roadkill Reader in September. We're about to release Stick It To Ya in October. and then from there on, for the next 10 months, pretty much one new song every month. And then at the end of that, we'll release the full-length album in vinyl and CD and pretty much everything. So yeah, that's really sort of keeping us going through this pandemic and stuff. So since we can't tour and stuff, so yeah, check us out at www.izzy'scaravan.com. That's IZIES caravan.com, and we're giving these songs away for free. So all you have to do is just register onto our website, and we'll send you an MP3 with a personalized message, by the way, from the band. So yeah, it's really exciting, man. Hopefully it works out for us. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we definitely gonna keep playing your music, man. And if you ever get to the West Coast, man, come check us out. Let us know where you're playing, so we can definitely come out and support. So for those that joined the show a little late, you can hear the show in its entirety in about 2 minutes, and it's available on all the platforms. So you don't have no excuse not to hear the show. And if you still have problems, ask your daddy, ask your mama, to ask the guy that live next door that work at the gas station, somebody that know where to get the show so you can go check it out. So you got no excuse. So you heard it from me. Izzy, I thank you much. Keep doing what you do, and
Cheers,
come
man.
back
Thanks.
and join us. Come back and join us anytime.
Yeah, for sure, man. Sure. Thank you so much for having me, man. It's you know, I even forgot this was I was like talking to a friend, man. So that's really awesome. So.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, man. And I definitely appreciate you, man. And like I said, keep up the good work, man. You're doing the right thing.
Cheers, dude. Thanks, man.
All right, everybody, that was Mr. Izzy Caravan, so check it out. See you guys next week, same time. And like I said, you don't have no excuse not to hear the show. So put this one in your head on your way out, too, because we need to be like this.
Though you may not drive a great big Cadillac, got the white wall, TV antennas in the back. You may not have a car at all, but remember, brothers and sisters, you can still stand tall. Just be thankful for what you got. Though you may not drive a great big Cadillac, diamond in the back, sun top, digging the scene with a gangster lean, gangster white wall, TV antennas in the back. You may not have a car at all, but remember, brothers and sisters, you can still stand tall. Just be thankful for what you got. Though you may not drive a great big Cadillac, got